like if we teach our daughters that they are daughters of God, we're not going to have to worry about having to measure their skirts with their fingertips. And I think that that's just so important because it's not about like the tiny little details. Like, is the skirt long enough? Is it too short? Like, do I look like I'm respecting my body? Do I look like I'm looking for attention? It's like, if you know who you are, everything else falls into place. If I know my purpose when I'm getting dressed in the morning, it's going to change the way I look. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go off and make crazy decisions or never show my skin or whatever. It's going to be personal to me, and I'm going to be intentional with everything that I'm doing. Is I'm keeping that in mind.
Never, ever, ever give up on your dreams. You might just have to, there's a balancing game, right? And I believe this and have experienced this even through mothering, is that I'll find that oftentimes women will give up their dreams to raise their kids. And I don't think you need to do that either. I think that it's very possible and healthy, actually, to hold on to your own dreams while you're raising your kids.
Even though there are a lot of things that are out of your control, there are things in your control that you can do, which I think helps people, just feel like they have control. I think that is so important.
Welcome to the Pretty Sister Podcast. I'm your host, Callie Stoyer, and your friend. And I'm so happy you're here. I congratulate you for taking time on this day to join us and listen and tune in. This is a place of belonging, of friendship, of sisterhood, all good things, all fun things that I'm bringing to you. And today I have a special guest, a new friend of mine, Madeline Allred. Soon to be
Wells in 2 weeks.
Yes, in 2 weeks, this adorable girl is going to be married to TJ Wells, who is my son Braden's best friend, part of his best friend pack. And so her fiance TJ feels like a son to me, kind of just somebody I love and adore. Nice. And as she has come into our life, I feel the same way, just this absolute love immediately, which I think is always fun when you can kind of have that transference of love when you love someone so much and then they love someone. You can meet another person and then all of a sudden have this overwhelming love and joy for them. Have you experienced that?
Yes, and I'm like so honored because I think the world of Braden and all of those boys, like TJ and I talk a lot about principles that we're going to teach our kids when we raise our kids, and so often they keep bringing up, like, it was my friends. Like, I was raised around the best friends, and it's so true. He has the best friends, and so I love Braden. I love all those boys, and they make each other the best and hold each other accountable, which is awesome. So I love them. Love you. Can't wait for all the exciting things that are coming.
Well, I'm glad that you said that because this is called the Pretty Sister Podcast, and it's been a lot of girl themes, and we've been talking to women. But I've said this before, I raised sons and I love boys. Love my husband, love my sons. Obviously, I don't want to be exclusive to them, although this is to women. But I've wanted to have Braden on the podcast because just like I've raised my daughters to be good friends and to value friendship, I've raised my sons to do the same thing. And so you're experiencing marrying into their friend group. I think those boys are going to be friends for life. Like
forever.
Yes. They are like brothers. They're so close and they've changed each other and molded and become better men and boys from their friendships together, which I loved. So someday I'm going to get some of them on the podcast. We'll talk to the boys because it is important to have these great male friendships as well.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So let's jump into talking and getting to know you a little bit because, as I said, you are actually new in my world, and I'm so excited that you're going to be part of my world forever now and to get to know you better. And I've seen you. This is why I love social media. I have a love-hate relationship with it, but one of the things I do love about it is that we can get a glimpse into what people are doing. And so I've seen you on social media, and I think you're adorable. I've seen what you're doing. And I think kind of from this more of a motherly standpoint, I see you as this young girl starting off in your career. You're in school and you're starting as an exercise and health and wellness coach. And you're out there posting and sharing and doing it in this most natural, cute, authentic way, which I think is actually something that's more innate and intuitive to your age group. Actually, I think it's probably so much easier and natural to you than it is for me.
I don't know. It feels very unnatural. I'm not going to lie. Anyone who does any sort of social media and tries knows it is so hard and it is so scary and so vulnerable. Especially, I feel like I wasn't the biggest social media person growing up. My mom didn't let me have, well, she didn't let me. My mom and I had this deal where I didn't have Instagram on my phone. Like if I ever wanted to use that, I'd use it on her phone. Didn't have Snapchat growing up, TikTok.
How long did you do that? When age did I'm curious to know, because everyone does that differently.
Yeah.
But somebody who, it's interesting for me to hear you say, oh no, it's hard for me too. And it's vulnerable for me too. That's good for all of you listeners to know who are trying new things. So at whatever age you're starting, there's a learning curve and there's a vulnerability space that you have to just push through to do what you want to accomplish. But so how was that for you growing up?
Like not having social media?
Yeah. Or at what age did you transition into that?
So okay, let's go way back. Take it back a little bit. So when I was in like transitioning from middle school to high school, I struggled a lot actually with my mental health. Okay. And my mom started to my mom is very holistic and she's just amazing in every single way, but she's always
validate. I met your mom recently at a shower the other day and instantly loved her. So I'm bringing her on the podcast.
No, you should. Everyone should hear what she has to say. And she said the same thing about you afterwards. We always say cuss and discuss. Like, let's go back and cuss and discuss. And we talk about all the things we learned. And she was like, you know, I loved Callie's story. I loved Callie. So she loved you too.
Felt that connection. She's a definite pretty sister. That's what I thought.
But she did such a good job of tracing it back. Okay, like what is it that's causing you to have all these like hard feelings? And obviously with mental health, there's a lot of different things and everyone's experiences are so different. One thing that my mom noticed is on Snapchat, there's all these like, I don't even know, it's been forever since I've seen Snapchat, but there was this page where it was like always showing these videos and it was like always like, it was just like really dark content and not that it was like crazy inappropriate or crazy like dark or dreary. I think it just wasn't uplifting and it wasn't like super happy and like I don't know. I of course didn't notice. I'm like, well, I don't know, 13 at this time. Yeah. And so my mom, that was the first thing. And she's like, okay, we're going to delete Snapchat. And at first I rebelled and I was like, no, I'm going to have no friends. I'm going to have no way to communicate. And then as I got older, like I think I was able to realize how much people were relying on Snapchat. And it was just like, to me, it was so silly. Like I took a couple of years, but once I stepped out of it, I was like, people on Snapchat are just sending pictures when like I'm texting people. Like if someone doesn't want to text me, like the conversations are much more real over text than they are over Snapchat. And then of course, obviously in person, it's a whole nother level. But that's when I stopped, I stopped Snapchat. And then I remember, I think it was either my junior or senior year of high school. This was like one of the best things my mom did for me. It was perfect for us. We made a deal and she was like, hey, Madeline, if you delete Instagram off of your phone, then I'll pay for you to get your nails done like all year. And so I never
did you have to delete it the whole time and she would keep doing your nails if it was off?
Yeah. So it was just like, I didn't have Instagram on my phone and I wanted my nails done. And so I still had it, but whenever, exactly. Like if I wanted to post for a dance or if I wanted to go look at something or if I wanted to just do my occasional scroll, like I would do it on my mom's phone. And that just helped me so I didn't get distracted and too far down the rabbit hole or spent too much time on it. And it just, I feel like it made me intentional with my social media use. Like, okay, I'm only going to go on it for a little bit and I know what I'm doing. And then I got my nails done and my mom helped me establish these habits. And so it was honestly a win-win. And then I just learned so much from that of just being able to stay out of the drama and just being real and being like, kind of like, I don't know how to say it, but like underground a little bit. Like it was like underground, but like I wasn't as involved as a lot of other people in this stuff that didn't really matter to me. Yeah. Like if it mattered, I was involved, and if not, I was.
Because you kind of realize eventually like that you don't actually need to know where everybody is at all times and what they're doing.
Yeah. You don't need to compare your darkest times to everyone's highest when they're posting on social media and stuff. So that's kind of where my social media habits first started forming.
And then now you're on social media. You're beginning to be an influencer on social media and using it as a business platform to explore your profession, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that. Tell everybody what you're studying and what you're doing.
Yeah. So I'm a student at BYU. I'm studying exercise and wellness. And I'm also a certified health and nutrition coach. And so I'm using my social media to promote my business as a coach, but also to like give free information. If we're going to be on social media, I want it to be a platform where you can learn and grow. Yeah. And so that's what I try to do with my social media. I think one thing that was really big for me going into it, which I'm still very new, like I think I've been doing it for a year, but on and off for that year. And it's still new, but
still a student.
Yes.
Still dating and falling in love and
yes.
getting ready to get married.
Got plenty of things going on.
Things going on in your life.
Yes. But I just always said, like, if someone's going to spend their time watching my video, I want it to be something that they can take away, you know, like the day in the life videos are great. And I have a couple of those here and there, but I want like my platform to be someone is coming to my platform to learn and that it's growing, not just pumping out random content, which here and there I do. Like you got to do what you got to do, but that I try my best to make it meaningful information so that if someone's going to scroll on my page, it's going to be meaningful to them, intentional. So that's my goal.
I think that's a great goal. And it's something I've tried to do as well. And I've struggled a little bit with the concept as I've been doing this, and I'm still learning how to do this. But the fact that some of the frivolous things, like you said, the day in the life or the dancing or the fun things are the ones that get more of the views.
It's true.
And more of the likes.
Yeah.
And I've been frustrated as I've been doing this, thinking that I'm putting out like educational or good content that will not get seen. And then the second I do a silly dance, that's the one that will take on. But somebody told me, wise, who has done this much longer, and has said, you have to throw in some candy. There has to be a balance. You got to do some fun things, and then that will get the eyes on the content that's more meaningful to you.
Exactly.
And so you have to just sort of figure out that mix. I guess it's a little bit of being a slave to the algorithm.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Figuring out how to, get that working for you.
You post a silly dance and then people look at your account and then they find all the other good stuff.
And then they find the good stuff.
Yes.
But in general, I agree. I mean, we want to be providing value. And this is a great method for us to get it out there. So health and nutrition, how did you take a dive into that? Did that come from the mental health challenges that you faced younger? Like, did you figure out that all of that goes together? Because I'm sure you know that now.
Yes, definitely a little bit of everything. I was super fortunate growing up. My mom, very holistic, very healthy. She just raised us, teaching us the importance of taking care of your body and that your body is this amazing tool that you can use if you take care of it right. And so it was always like in my mind, but of course, growing up, I was always like rebellious. Like I'd get so excited when I could go to my friend's house who had all the good treats, because my mom was like the carrot mom. That like our treats were like carrots and broccoli and like all that good stuff. But she definitely got it in my mind.
Good mother.
Yes, she is. But it wasn't actually until when I was 19, I left to serve a mission for my church. I served my mission in Phoenix, Arizona. And it was at that point when I started to realize like what I knew and what I had been raised on was so unique. Yes. And I remember it was so sad for me to see so many people that I was serving with, whether it was other missionaries or people that I met, as we know, as sisters here on this podcast, like body image. And it's something that every girl struggles with at some point in their life. And gaining weight on your mission is something that's super common to a lot of missionaries. And it was so heartbreaking to me to see some of the habits that people would form in attempts to lose mission weight or in order to get healthy or to look better, to look different. And, I had friends who would like just stare at themselves in the mirror and be like, okay, I wish that like my hips were a little different this way. My arms were a little different this way. And it was just like so shocking to me. And I knew that like people struggled with it a little bit here and there, but to see it so close up with so many people, because on a mission, you're living with like either one other person or a couple other people like 24/7. And so you see all the sides of them. And that was just so surprising.
Because you're not choosing who your roommates are for the first time in your life. You're just getting placed and paired, which I think is such a neat experience that only is going to happen during that time, because the rest of your life, you really are going to be much more intentional in choosing it. So this gives you such an exposure to different personalities of all kinds,
different lifestyles growing up, and different beliefs that they have that cause them to believe and do certain things. So that's kind of where the idea started, that I was like, oh, this is so sad. Like, I want to do it. And I actually struggled with it so much myself too. It was like, for the first time in my life, like I would get in the shower and I would just cry. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so sad. Like, this is so hard. And
were you sad were you also putting on weight on the mission? And so you were also dealing with that body image change.
Yeah.
And for the first time, probably realizing, oh, so many things are out of your control.
Yes.
What you're eating on a mission.
What I'm doing on a daily basis, workout routines.
Yes. And so you have to just somewhat surrender to that stage of life. Is that kind of what you had to reconcile with?
I feel like that's what I did at the beginning, until I realized that I actually didn't have to, and that there were things that were in my control. Like, I think I actually have the opportunity to work with a lot of missionaries now and coach a lot of missionaries. And one thing that I try to help them see is that even though there are a lot of things that are out of your control, there are things in your control that you can do, which I think helps people just feel like they have control. I think that is so important, to just know that, like, okay, I can actually take care of my body, even though somebody is giving me this Thanksgiving meal for the 5th time this week. Like, I can control.
Make some choices.
Yes, I can make some choices, and I can take care of myself.
Gracious way.
Yes,
that probably does need some coaching and some skills to be learned of how to graciously handle those situations. Yeah.
So I started to learn a little bit of that on my mission, and then when I got home, I was just so passionate about it, and so that's when I switched my major to exercise and wellness. And then I found this health coaching certification that I was able to do. And then through that led me to a couple other things that led me to this company that I work with now, and this mentor, coach, boss, all of the above person who helps me now to be a coach. And now I'm so grateful for what I do. I coach. I'm in school full time, and then I'm coaching the rest of the time. Which I'm so lucky and so blessed to do, because it's just the best job. Like, again, like body image and anything with your body, it's so vulnerable. It's such a vulnerable place to be in. And so having these men and women who come to me who say, okay, like, this is a goal I have, and like letting me be a part of their journey is just, I feel so lucky and so blessed to be a part of. So
such a great opportunity. Yeah. Anytime you can help somebody make those improvements and help better their life is so rewarding. So then, have you kind of found then in a niche to work with women before going on a mission? Has that been kind of a group of women that you've been helping? I feel like it could be.
I know.
It's not, because there's a lot of girls going out, and you could probably offer them a lot of skills and ideas, having gone through this before they even go, to equip them to handle it while they're serving their mission.
That's true. I think one thing that I found is a lot of people don't really know what they're getting into until they're there.
Yes.
And then again, every situation is so different. I have a missionary in Japan and in Australia and in the States. And so all of the missions are going to be so different. And so I don't usually work with missionaries until they're out, because I'm going to give them different advice if they're in, Chile versus, Europe or something like that. It's going to be different
while they're on their missions and they're struggling, and then now they have the permission to work with a coach to help them through it.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
So
I love it.
On that note, I have a daughter serving a mission right now in Mexico. It's her birthday today, actually. And she is putting on weight, as to be expected. And also doing exactly what you said, where she's experiencing what other girls are going through and seeing it. And I remember her telling me this, which I was proud of her and also shocked for what she was learning. But she was saying one day when we were talking, Mom, these girls are having such a hard time with the weight gain. And she said, to the point that, again, I don't know what crazy things you saw, but she said that they're actually wrapping like saran wrap around themselves under their dresses and doing these crazy things before a zone conference to just try to fit and hide the weight gain. And she said, she's like, and this is where I was proud of her. She's like, I just am going to embrace this.
Mm-hmm.
And she's my kid who really loves and appreciates her body, was very much comfortable in her own skin and an adorable figure. And I did worry about how she would feel having to, for the first time in her life, put on extra weight and have to deal with that. But I was so proud that she said, I'm not hiding it. I'm just going to embrace it. It is what it is. I'm serving the Lord. I'm going to trust that it's going to come off later. I'm just going to buy flowy dresses. Send me some bigger clothes. Like, she just was not going to let herself be sad about it. And try to, like, she's like, I'm not putting, stuff around me to squeeze myself.
Terrible.
I know. It sounds awful and hot and uncomfortable. But I love that she was able to just be okay with it. And then I think you're so right, though, so that's kind of the surrendering part that I mentioned, that you have to, be comfortable with yourself at all times.
Yes.
And there are a lot of things outside of your control, but you're right. There's a lot of things inside your control too, that can be paired with that acceptance.
Yes.
It's like this always having a love and acceptance of yourself and seeing that higher purpose, for her, and that what her ultimate goal and purpose is right now is not to be worrying about her beauty.
Yes.
But yet we do have a responsibility at all times to take care of our bodies, and we can do that in a healthy, productive way.
Yes.
So it's like
there's a balance, for sure. Like you know that, you're maybe not going to be able to get exactly where you were before you left. But I think that's a big thing with, again, what I teach about, like, coaching my missionaries on control. It's just like understanding, like, you surrender a little bit, but you don't have to surrender everything to the point where you're, like, mentally unstable as well. There is that fine line, for sure. So I love that she was able to do that, because that is hard.
It is hard.
It is so hard.
She's my kid who has so much confidence, but I'm always dissecting it, trying to understand, like, I'll have moments of feeling proud, like, oh, I taught that to you. But then I'm like, no,
that was you.
I think she was raised with certain beliefs as a pretty sister, but this kid has this confidence just coming out of her. And I'm always also studying it and learning from it, and then trying to reteach people where it comes from. But I do think that our ultimate confidence always is coming from knowing who we are, like truly connecting to our divine, being a daughter of God, and just understanding our worth and potential at that raw level. And when we tap into that, and I think that's what she's doing. She's like, I'm serving God, I'm doing his work, I am who I am. This looks thing, I'll tackle that later. And she's been able to sort of compartmentalize and put it on a shelf and know that it's not the most important thing right now. And I know her. She definitely cares about her body and her looks, hopefully not unproportionately to how she should.
Yeah.
So I know she will come back to it and take care of things later. And I'm just proud of her for not forgetting who she is.
Yes.
Because ultimately that's what we need to remember. And that's where our joy comes from, is knowing who we are, whose we are.
Yes.
That we are children of our Heavenly Father.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
So, and I think that's what gives us such a bright light, and probably what connects me to you so much, because you know that. And so I get that feeling from you that you're probably teaching that with brilliance.
I do my best. It is so important. I'll always remember such like a tiny thing that my mission president, so like the leader of my specific mission, said one time, is he was talking about our worth, and just this little context, this little tiny sentence, he said, like, he's like, if we teach our daughters that they are daughters of God, we're not going to have to worry about having to measure their skirts with their fingertips. And I think that that's just so important, because it's not about like the tiny little details, like, is the skirt long enough? Is it too short? Like, do I look like I'm respecting my body? Do I look like I'm looking for attention? It's like, if you know who you are, everything else falls into place. If I know my purpose when I'm getting dressed in the morning, it's going to change the way I look. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go off and make crazy decisions or never show my skin or whatever. It's going to be personal to me, and I'm going to be intentional with everything that I'm doing if I'm keeping that in mind. Which, just that tiny little sentence just has stuck with me so much.
Yes.
About the importance of knowing who we are.
Yes. I love that. So I love that you're coaching, because we need more people like you with such goodness inside to be helping our daughters and women and men, like you said, to feel good about themselves and to be their best selves. Another thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is dreaming. So I'm a big person who believes that we all have dreams, should be dreaming, should be visualizing what it is that we want to create in our life and accomplish. And then that's kind of the first step that I teach, that you want to dream and then come at it with a lot of belief, being able to believe in your dreams and then creating your dreams. So having said that, I love talking to young people because I feel like you're, at this stage where you're in college, you've already started to formulate some of your dreams and choosing your career. And you're also getting married. I'm sure that was a dream that's about to come true.
Absolutely.
But you're just at this young stage of just, hopefully, life feels like it's just full of possibilities.
It does.
And full of, if I go back to remembering when I was first getting married, you just feel like the world is your oyster and there's so many things and you're almost just like picking from all the possibilities. So let's just go into the young mind of Madeline.
Okay.
And what is going on in your head as far as dreaming? Because,
oh my gosh,
that topic. Are you dreaming? Are you dreaming?
All the time. All the
what
time.
What does that look like for you?
Yeah. No, I love this question. I'm going to go back to before my dreams right now, kind of how the dreams that I'm living right now have become a reality. I remember the very first time that I thought about coaching is I was in a health class my freshman year of college. So I was 18 at the time. And I distinctly remember this experience. There was it was a slideshow and it was a picture of a fat person that was running. They were very overweight, a very overweight person who was running, and then a super skinny model sitting on a chair. And the question was, who is healthier? And she was like, obviously the person who's overweight and running because they're running. And at that point I was like, what? Because something that I actually
look like health.
Yes, it doesn't look like health. And something that I've struggled with both ends of the spectrum, because I struggled with feeling not confident in my body because of the weight gain when I was serving my mission. But growing up, I was always so insecure about how small I was. And so I was like, that's not fair. What if that model just is really small and they're trying and they're doing all the right things and they're eating a lot and they're exercising and they just happen to be smaller than other people? That's just not fair. And I remember calling my mom and giving her this whole rundown, and I was like, that's not fair. Yes. It's there's no just one size fit all. That's just not a reality. And so that was kind of the first time my mom was like, okay, you could talk about this, finding out what I'm passionate about.
To say about
Yes. And then I remember after that, I first was interested in life coaching, which I actually am a certified life coach as well as a health coach. And I remember being like, but I'm too young. I'm 18. No one's gonna listen to an 18-year-old. I haven't been through that much life, which I actually had. And now we know that no matter what age, you all have your things.
That imposter syndrome, they call it, is going to pop up no matter what age you're at.
Yes.
And it's just the people who are willing to be vulnerable, to speak up, to help others. And if you have that desire to help others, you can do it. You can always find somebody that you can help.
Exactly.
There's no shortage of that.
Exactly. And so I was I kind of just shoved that away. I was like, well, I can't really help anyone. I'm 18. And then my mom was like, that's not true. And my mom just helped me reframe that thought and realize, okay, maybe I'm not going to be the most effective coach for someone who's in their 50s or 40s or something, but I can be really impactful for someone who's in middle school or someone who's younger than me or someone who's at the same phase as me or maybe even right above me. But I just always like to go back and think about when I was really struggling with my mental health or on my mission or just my dark times in my life. Who would I have liked to be in my life when I was struggling? And I try to be that person.
And oftentimes a peer or somebody that's not so different in age is somebody who you could relate to them. So we do need you younger people talking to some younger people, because that might be the person who's going to listen. So and I think count or the impact we can have.
Yes, and it's been so amazing to see now coaching. The majority of my clients are either high school students or college students or within that age range. And I just think it's unique that they're able to trust me maybe a little bit better than someone who's in a completely different phase of life than them, because I get the social stuff and I get all the things. Like I was just there, or I'm there right now. And so I just think no matter,
become like a little best friend.
Yes, it's my favorite thing.
Knowledge and skill set to be able to help them along.
Yes, it's so fun. And I just remember like when I was, and this is not to discount counselors or therapists or any way, because they're so important. And I just wasn't able to find one that was right for me when I needed one. But I just always remember being like, I just don't feel like this. When I was going to counseling, I was just like, I don't feel like this lady really cares or understands what I'm going through. And so I just remember, like, if I was able to talk to someone who maybe I could relate to personally a little bit more, or was a little bit more like that would have made the world of a difference. Yes. And so going back to answer your question about dreams, I think that you can always find a way to make your dreams a reality, and never put that imposter syndrome on yourself, and just know that maybe you just got to tweak it a little bit to make your dream a reality in a way that it fits for you, specifically in the phase of life that you're in, and the critique or credibility that you have and whatnot. So I guess that didn't really answer your question, but
with that, because I think that's a great answer that's helpful to people, because you're not the only one who has those thoughts, or who will have a dream and think, oh, I can't do this. I don't have the credibility. So there's a way that we can work through that. Okay, but you were going to say something else.
I was just going to go back to your other question about what dreams do I have. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I don't even know where to start, because so many, but at the same time, I haven't been able to think past May 16th, which May 16th is the day I'm getting married. So like,
where the most important dream comes true, which actually I will say is the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the beginning of your happily ever after, which is so exciting, but it is something that takes so much work and nurture and effort, which I'm sure you've seen from your own parents. That marriage is such a beautiful thing, but it's a lifeline. I always tell people when I'm writing that wedding card, that here's the start of your happily ever after. Because you get to now cultivate this and dream dreams together that you'll be able to accomplish, which is a beautiful thing.
And honestly, I think that's one thing I'm most excited for, is like, I have my goals, I have my dreams, and he has his, and let's find a middle ground. Let's find a way to make them both happen. We both right now are wanting to do school after we graduate. Like with our bachelors, we want to go on and continue to do more school. And it's like, okay, how do I find a place that's going to be good for me and for him, and give us time? And even when it comes to like having kids, like that's a big dream of mine. Like I am so excited to be a mother, and it's going to be so fun to find a way to fit all of our dreams together and form new ones, and mold mine with his, and not give up mine or give up his. But I think that's so important. I think it's something I unfortunately see with a lot of newlyweds, is one person has to give up their lifelong goal to support the other. And I think definitely there's times when that has to happen. Everyone has to sacrifice, but I'm excited to see what dreams we can make a reality with both of ours.
Well, and I'll say, having gone through this, and one belief that I hold very dear is that, yes, you're right, that there's times when someone's dream might be at the forefront, but never, ever, ever give up on your dreams. You might just have to, there's a balancing game. Like, and I believe this, and have experienced this even through mothering, is that I'll find that oftentimes women will give up their dreams to raise their kids. And I don't think you need to do that either. I think that it's very possible and healthy, actually, to hold on to your own dreams while you're raising your kids. And definitely my kids are at the top of my dream list. Like seeing them, be successfully launched into life as part of my dream. Right. Like I have these 5 kids, and I have it listed out as I want to see them get married. I want to see them. I have all these hopes and dreams for them that are part of my dream, that it's how I measure my success as a mother. But yet on top of that, I have things that are my own dream that are outside of my kids. And I'm always working on all of them. So it's just a balancing game, but something that we shouldn't give up on, and we shouldn't completely let go of ours in place of the other.
Absolutely.
Because then when the kids do launch, and which I'm doing right now, where my last child is graduating from high school this year, I have so many times other mothers will say to me, "Oh, I'm so sad. Are you, what are you going to do? Don't worry, you'll get over it. It'll get easier after a while." And I honestly cannot relate to what they're saying. And I tell them, I say, "No, I'm not sad at all. I'm so excited. And no, it's not going to be a transition at all, because I have so many things lined up that I'm working on and that I'm excited to do. And I'm excited for her to launch." So I think I've been able to have that kind of perspective because I have been raising these kids alongside of raising up my own dreams, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love it.
And I think that more people need to understand that they can do that it's not an all or nothing game. And it's not that way with your husband. I mean, there was, Dave, when we got married, he pursued medicine. And so he had a lot of schooling. But while he was in school, I got my MBA. I was like, well, you're going to be in school, I'll go back to school too. We can both do that. And then there were times when, we focused on one thing more than another. But enough about that. I just, again,
I love it.
Pursue your dreams, ladies. They are so important to you. And just even the act of visualizing and always having something that you're dreaming up and looking forward just gets us through the hard times, because there are hard times. And even in the sacrificing, there's hard times. But when you have a dream in front of you that you haven't let go of, and it's there someday, it's that hope. I think hope is so powerful. So if we can have our dreams and always believe and have hope in them, then it's going to keep us moving forward. We'll find a way. But if you put them on the shelf or you close it up and you just think, well, I can't, then we give up hope and we don't find a way. And then we go complacent. So
it's so good. And the first person that came to my mind when you were saying that is my mom, because my mom did such a good job making sure that we as kids knew that was important to her. My mom, I want to say she was a stay-at-home mom. She, her priority was always us, but she always, for as long as I can remember, has always had her side things. My mom owned a salon suite when we were in Colorado. Now she owns a marketing business I know nothing about. She always has her things that she's working on. And I just think that's such a great example that you don't have to give up things. And my dad is working and he's doing his thing, and my mom is at home with the kids, but that doesn't mean that she gave up all of her hopes and dreams and gave up all of her entrepreneurial business ideas that she's always had. And she's always working on a project that is a creative outlet for her. And I just have always admired that. And she's always made sure that us daughters know, because I have 4 sisters. I grew up with all girls. I have one brother. Not all girls. Sorry, Easton. I have one brother and he's the best and we love him. But she just really made sure that we all understood that we are not supposed to just sit back and just relax. We are always yes, we honor and respect and love the role of motherhood. And if you have the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom, that's amazing. But have your passions and goals and dreams and things that you love outside of being a mother, because that's going to keep you mentally sane. And even outside of motherhood, just being a wife as well.
Well, and often the act of mothering and being a wife will help you figure out what those passions are. And then you turn it into a business, or into whatever it is that you're going to do, a hobby, a creative outlet. There's so many different ways that we can flourish, that we can help others, that we can serve and show up with, pursuing our passions and our purpose. And so as long as we're doing that, I love that your mom taught you, and I can see that in you. Further affirming what a wonderful mother she is, and that we need to have her on the podcast. But, I always say that as you do that, it gives your kids permission to do the same as you're leading in that example. And that's what I'm seeing here, is that she did that. You saw her do it, so you're like, okay, I can do that too. And then that creates another generation of fulfillment and pursuing your passion and purpose because you saw your mother model it. Exactly. So I think that's the thing, is the more happiness we can be ourselves and take care of ourselves to show up as happy. So it sounds like she was probably happy as a mother, happy also because she was fulfilling her own pursuits. That gives you permission to create that happiness.
Absolutely.
In your life.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do.
Absolutely. And she was so good to making sure that we knew that no matter what our talent or passion was, that we could make something out of it. My dad he's in medicine, he's a surgeon. And so he very much has the analytical, he's your very typical smart person. He's very smart. And then my sisters are smart too, but the rest of us definitely have more of that. My dad is creative too. I don't want to discount that. He's a genius, but we definitely have more of a creative brain. And so like maybe we're not the most scholastic, typical smart people, if you know what I mean. Yes, but my mom did such a good job at like helping us understand, like, no matter what your passion is, go and make something out of it. So my family is doing all sorts of things. I don't think any of us took like a traditional route of schooling or fulfilling the passion. We've been all over the place. I was homeschooled for a few years, and my whole family's been all over the place, and it's so cool that we were able to take our different passions and now make a lifestyle or a life for ourselves with those passions, even though they're very not traditional, I would say. And I just love that my mom taught us that, like, whatever your passion is, like, find what you love and make something out of that. You don't have to be you don't have to go any traditional route. You just make something out of what you love and what you have.
Yeah, which is so great. And thank goodness in our world nowadays, those opportunities are available to us, I think, and more so than they were in the past.
Yeah.
The pathways, the choices have opened up. The world has opened up. You know, you alluded to travel. You probably did a lot of travel and exposure to things that so much easier to do that now. And just the learning that we can participate with, even in non-traditional. I mean, I'm a big believer of education and college, and my kids are pursuing that. But at the same time, there's so many other avenues to learn and to progress. And even the certifications that you've gotten in health coaching and life coaching is a whole new field that wasn't there. So we can learn so much by just choosing what it is we want to learn, and we can go online and we can find courses for it. And we can learn all about that. And you, pretty sisters listening, all of you have something that you know that you could teach somebody else, and you could do that online, and you could make money doing that. So many options and opportunities. There's really no reason why we shouldn't just be dreaming. If there's anything you're learning from this podcast, I hope it is opening up your mind to the opportunities that are before you, and the permission, I guess, that I want you to feel and have to dream and dream big, and know that there's going to always be a way that you can pursue that and create that in your life, and that there's enough for you. I'm going to ask you, usually my dreaming question is the last one, but I do want to ask one other question before we wrap things up. And that is, because this is a podcast about sisterhood and friendship, and I feel like I'm gaining from you that you've had a lot of deep connection with your mother and your sisters growing up in that home. It seems like you probably gained a lot of friendship from that. But what was your experience with friendship in that realm, or even outside of that? What has friendship and sisterhood meant to you?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because anybody who knows me or my family knows that we are each other's best friends. I just had my bachelorette party a couple of days ago, and it was so fun. Like, my little sister's still in high school, and she's my maid of honor. So she's never been to a bachelorette party, but she put together the whole thing with the help of my sisters and, of course, my friends. But I'm just so grateful that, like, I want my sisters to be there alongside with me just as much as I want my friends. Like, they are really my best friends. But I guess to put my answer simply, like, my sisters and I and my mom, we are each other's biggest cheerleaders, no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's a tiny accomplishment or a big accomplishment. Like, we celebrate all the things. We celebrate all the little things, from my sister getting into grad school at Columbia to my little sister doing a tryout for dance, or my little sister just got her first job, and we'd celebrate that. Like, it's all the things. And that, to me, I just think is so important, because, you know, I'm going to have my family forever, and that's where everything stems from your family. And, you know, the kind of friend that I am is because of the kind of friend that my sisters have been to me, and vice versa. And so I've just learned to love and support one another. I think it was always so funny whenever I tell people, like, yeah, there's 4 girls in my family. It's like, oh, that sounds like a lot of drama. It's like, we never really had any drama, because we just loved and supported each other. She supported each other through all the ups and downs of life. And I think one part of that one reason why that was so easy for us, and this is something, again, that my mom did so well, is we were so vulnerable with each other. Vulnerability is so huge in my family, that the reason why we're able to celebrate the successes is because my sisters know how hard it was for me to get there, or for my other sister to get there, how badly we wanted it. And they know about all the times that we failed. And because the failures mean so much to us, the successes mean so much to us. And that principle of vulnerability has made us so close. And I think that is so, so important in sisterhood and in friendship and whatever the relationship is, vulnerability is so important. So,
well, it facilitates such deep connection. When you've been there and you've understood the journey that they've been through, you're right. When you know that, then you can really celebrate and show up in ways that you need to on the other end. You know, you've been through the thick and the thin with somebody. So I think that's so beautiful. And I love that. I love that you've experienced that. You know, these principles that we talk about on the podcast and in My Pretty Sister or the Think Pretty book that's coming out, I've said to people, it's nothing new. It's nothing, you know, in some ways remarkable. It's so simplistic, but I think oftentimes we miss the mark because the simplest things are what we miss. Like just being kind to each other. It's so easy, yet not always done, but it makes such a difference. And so it's these simple things of just showing up and loving and being kind and being supportive. It's not hard to do. It's open and available to all of us. Yet we still live in a world of disconnection, and we still live in a world where people are mean. And you hear the stories, and it's like, what? You know, it feels like Twilight Zone almost sometimes when I'll hear the negative stories of behavior that does exist that we are fighting against. So that is why I speak up and why we're talking about these principles. And I love hearing and meeting people like you who are being kind and being loving and being best friends with your sisters and growing up in a home where that type of sisterhood is fostered and taught, because it makes a big difference.
All the difference.
And then you do learn, like, oh, girls are to be supportive, and I want to support them, and I want to be supported by them, because together we can be better and stronger.
Absolutely. I love that. And you do such a good job at portraying your message so well. I've loved it.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for being willing to take time before your wedding, when I know there's a lot of things on your mind that aren't this, but I appreciate you being willing to take the time to have this conversation. And I hope that this is going to resonate with some of you pretty sisters out there, and that you can learn to pursue your dreams and to be vulnerable, to create these connections in your life, of sisterhood and friendship that will help you so much. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Please do leave a review or share this with somebody that came to mind that might benefit from this podcast. It helps us to get the message out and to reach more people who want to learn about sisterhood or friendship, or who want to be a part of this community of friendship. So again, thanks for being here. Stay pretty. We'll see you next week.